With the year ending, let's take a step back and take a look at Gigawatt. Possibly the best movie crossover toy we got. Doesn't mean it's perfect though. For instance, the accessories. We get a very competent blaster that looks good. It's well detailed. Even these gaps that are there to save on plastic don't look out of place. Very nice. But it's obviously based off Optimus's one, making me wish he got something a bit more unique. This, however, is more of a wish than a criticism, so there's that. And I mean, you can also change its silhouette with Mr. Fusion. They even got the logo right here. It even has 2 places to plug it in. Unfortunately, one of the spots is compromised, because while attaching it at the back, it's possible, as you can see, it forces Gigawatt to hold the blaster in a bit of an awkward position. Basically, Mr. Fusion prevents it from sitting flush with his arms, as you can see. Then again, a Mr. Fusion on top of the gun is not the best alternative. You have effectively just given it a top hat. Very threatening. Well, at least you can plug it into this hole, into this port right over here, like this, to give him a watch, so that you can recreate that famous pose. Yeah, there we go. It's nice that we can do this, because the final accessory, the hook used in the climax of the first film, is virtually useless. Well, in robot mode at least. The best you can do with this thing is just plugging it somewhere and, well, hope it looks good, which it frequently doesn't. Best I got is just leave it attached to the door flaps. Speaking of robot mode, it isn't free from flaws. The color scheme is a bit dull due to the vast majority being black and grey. This isn't really its fault, however, because the DeLorean was just those colors. Nothing you can do about that. So, it gets a pass on that. If you want to talk about colors, the only real color break that you can actively see at the chest and face. And while I do like the head sculpt, it's quite well done, even the painted eyes, it's, well, sideswipe wearing goggles. Yet again, I have a similar stance with the blaster in that I wish it was a bit more unique. And while I like the idea of having the flux capacitor showing here, it does make me wonder what happens if the flux capacitor is damaged. And given how exposed it is, it's right here, front and center, like the red circle on a target. I'm willing to bet the chances of it getting damaged are high. So to keep things short, not the best place for it. More design criticism is that the front of the DeLorean feels haphazardly placed with how the lower body suddenly appears out of thin air with nothing to smoothen that journey. I think it's better for visualization if I have sideswipe next to it. You see they have a sideswipe has this bit over here, whereas he doesn't, which means that it's not as cohesive as this guy. And these gaps at the feet, they're not in your face, so it doesn't bother me as much, but they are still there, and they are worse than sideswipe. For a good reason, mind you, but still. I am by no means saying it's bad, it's terrible. It's just that it's easy to tell the vehicle mode had more importance and that the robot mode was really just sideswipe forced to cosplay. I find articulation to be a similar story. What sideswipe has, he has, with some caveats. The arms are what you'd expect. Nothing's really wrong with them. Everything's fine. Everything, it does its job well. Head moves in most directions, except for looking up, because there's some junk in the way. You look at sideswipe, you can look quite a bit, for being honest. Waist swivel, but the legs passed down from him, right over here, suffer from the remote. There is, of course, a thigh rotation, ankle pivot, moves out, back, sideways, all very well. But the problem lies in the knees. You see, a key aspect of the DeLorean from the film are what I think are cooling ducts. They are stored inside the legs. That is fine. However, it impedes the knee from being able to fully bend. Granted, this isn't a full 90, but it's miles better than this, and that's just a fact. This means that he can't pose as well and as dynamically as his mold mate. A definitive downgrade. While the conversion is sideswipe but modified, the changes done are not in its favor. The reason I say this is due to the gull-wing doors. Brilliant as they are, rub against the black painted line and subsequently caused chipping. And it's the same story for the other side. That's not a good sign if transformation actively ruins the paint. The reason for that is, you can see, not really enough clearance. You have to twist this bit, and even then, it doesn't work all the time. Not to be too negative, the vehicle mode is spectacular. One glance at it immediately tells you which movie it came from. And I do like the details at the back. The exposed wiring, these green things, and the spot for a Mr. Fusion. I know paint-wise it is barren, like quite barren, but if they had invested more paint on this guy, it would have increased the prices to a point where no one would pay for it. No one would want to buy it, and that's just not good business. So I think what's been done already is serviceable and is really well done for what you get. And well, you can't forget about that license plate. Just look at it. Nice. And the lightning hook finally has its use. If we just remove Mr. Fusion because it's not movie accurate and just plug it in to this hole right here, you can recreate that famous scene. Sadly, the 5mm port right over here sticks out like a sore thumb. But hey, there is a bright side because this thing can be stored on the vehicle. And it's quite clever weapon storage because there's just so much unused undercarriage real estate which would have been filled out by a midriff that it would be foolish to not store your weapon there. I quite like that. But my favorite part of this is when you flip down all four wheels. The front two might be a bit difficult because you might accidentally just flip it out like this. You want to make sure that they're sticking out. So flip them out, put these back ones right over here, and you get hover car mode. As terrible of an idea as they are, seeing the DeLorean fly was mind-blowing to me. And they even give you a 3mm port for a flight stand. Nice. They give you the ability to display it hovering. That's quite good. So, I like this toy. It's fun to transform, but looks nice and didn't break the bank. But like most movie crossover toys, it heavily relies on nostalgia to get people to buy them. I'm not saying it's wrong, but this is something you'd only get if you are a fan of the Back to the Future films who also are a fan of Transformers, which I am. On the bright side, it smells better than Maverick. Let's be honest, a lot of things are, because that deco is just trash. And so with that, thanks for watching, and catch you next time.